Abbreviations in neurology. Abbreviation. Meaning. Brief explanation.
EEG is abbreviation for electroencephalogram.
Electroencephalogram. A test that records electrical activity of the brain to diagnose conditions like epilepsy.
MRI is abbreviation for magnetic resonance imaging.
Magnetic resonance imaging. Imaging technique using magnetic fields to visualize detailed structures of the brain and spinal cord. CT.
Computed tomography is abbreviated as CT.
Computed tomography. Imaging method that uses X-rays to create detailed cross-sectional images of the brain or spine.
Central nervous system is abbreviated as CNS.
CNS, central nervous system. Includes the brain and spinal cord, responsible for processing and transmitting information.
ALS. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is abbreviated as ALS.
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. A progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord.
Multiple sclerosis is abbreviated as MS.
Multiple sclerosis. An autoimmune disorder where the immune system attacks the protective covering of nerves.
TBI, traumatic brain injury, is abbreviated as TBI.
TBI, traumatic brain injury. Damage to the brain caused by an external force, leading to temporary or permanent impairment.
Cerebrospinal fluid is abbreviated as CSF.
CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. Clear fluid surrounding the brain and spinal cord, providing protection and nutrients.
ICP, intracranial pressure, is abbreviated as ICP.
ICP, intracranial pressure. Pressure inside the skull, often monitored in cases of brain injury or swelling.
EMG electromyography is abbreviated as EMG.
EMG electromyography. A diagnostic test measuring electrical activity of muscles to detect neuromuscular disorders.
PD Parkinson's disease is abbreviated as PD.
PD Parkinson's disease. PD, a progressive neurological disorder that affects movement, often causing tremors.
TIA, transient ischemic attack, is abbreviated as TIA.
Transient ischemic attack. A temporary period of reduced blood flow to the brain, often a warning sign of a stroke.
AD Alzheimer's disease is abbreviated as AD.
AD Alzheimer's disease. A progressive disorder causing memory loss, cognitive decline, and behavioral changes.
SCI spinal cord injury is abbreviated as SCI.
SCI spinal cord injury. Damage to the spinal cord resulting in partial or complete loss of sensory and motor function.
CVA cerebrovascular accident is abbreviated as CVA.
CVA cerebrovascular accident. Also known as a stroke, caused by obstructed blood flow to the brain.
MG myasthenia gravis is abbreviated as MG.
MG myasthenia gravis. A chronic autoimmune disease causing weakness in the skeletal muscles.
NCS. Nerve conduction study is abbreviated as NCS.
NCS nerve conduction study. A test that measures how well and how fast electrical signals travel through a nerve.
SPECT, single photon emission computed tomography, is abbreviated as SPECT. SPECT.
Single photon emission computed tomography. A nuclear imaging test that shows how blood flows to tissues and organs in the brain.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is abbreviated as CJD.
CJD Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. A rare degenerative brain disorder caused by prion proteins, contaminated meat, leading to rapid mental decline and death.
HD, Huntington's disease, is abbreviated as HD.
HD Huntington's disease. A genetic condition that causes the progressive breakdown of nerve cells in the brain.
And CP, cerebral palsy, is abbreviated as CP.
CP cerebral palsy. A group of disorders affecting movement and muscle tone, often caused by brain injury during birth.
FTD, frontotemporal dementia, is abbreviated as FTD.
FTD frontotemporal dementia. A form of dementia characterized by changes in personality, behavior, and language due to damage in the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain.
ID or LD or intellectual or learning disabilities.
ID or LD intellectual/learning disabilities. A range of cognitive disabilities affecting learning, reasoning, and problem solving.
ASD or autism spectrum disorder is abbreviated as ASD.
ASD autism spectrum disorder. A developmental disorder that affects communication, social interaction, and behavior.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is abbreviated as ADHD.
ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. A neurological disorder characterized by difficulty with attention, hyperactivity, and impulsiveness.
Functional magnetic resonance imaging is abbreviated as fMRI.
F.MRI. Functional magnetic resonance imaging, a type of MRI used to measure and map brain activity by detecting changes in blood flow.
Positron emission tomography is abbreviated as PET.
PET, positron emission tomography, imaging technique that uses a radioactive substance to observe metabolic processes in the brain.
IQ. Intelligence quotient is abbreviated as IQ.
IQ, intelligence quotient. A standardized score used to measure a person's cognitive abilities in relation to others.
NIH, National Institutes of Health, is abbreviated as NIH.
NIH, National Institutes of Health. A U.S. government agency responsible for conducting medical research and promoting public health.
NMR. Nuclear magnetic resonance is abbreviated as NMR.
NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance. A technique used to determine the structure of organic compounds and study brain activity.
Post-traumatic stress disorder is abbreviated as PTSD.
PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder. A mental health condition triggered by a traumatic event, characterized by flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety.
OCD. Obsessive-compulsive disorder is abbreviated as OCD.
Obsessive-compulsive disorder. A mental health disorder characterized by intrusive thoughts, obsessions, and repetitive behaviors, compulsions, performed to alleviate anxiety.